All right. Well, welcome to this month's webinar. It's been a minute. We've been busy. I normally like to do these once a month, but there's been other things that's taken priority, but we're trying to get back in the saddle. So this month, from crisis to confidence, a restoration company playbook for turning online reviews into revenue. Here we go. So what we're going to cover today. How you can have all the tools in the world but still fail at getting more reviews, how to tap into a multi-channel approach. Online reviews is a team sport. Everybody needs to be on the same page in order for this to work. Why you must acknowledge and respond to reviews, both good and bad and indifferent. And how to have all this taken care for you if you're trying to simplify life and business and continue to grow and scale your reputation online. It'd be good if I could talk today too, huh? So yeah, look, I'm gonna try to keep this. It'll probably go anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I tend to go on rants. I'll try to keep them short and sweet today. But yeah, you're here, you're now. So I'd suggest just be here now and take notes so you can, you know, the way I look at learning, I had a mentor teach me this. He's like, look, you can read books, do webinars, podcasts all day, every day, but if you don't change your behavior from what you read or learned, then you basically didn't learn anything. And I'll never forget that. That was gold. So hopefully you guys will get some good takeaways today that you can implement into your business and start, increasing your reputation online, which therefore help you grow and scale this thing, which is, I think, what we're all trying to do in this line of work. Some of you I may have met before, some of you may not. And again, this is about me helping you, not me per se, but I'm the founder and owner of Restoration Marketing Group. I grew up in construction, worked in construction for a long time before I started this company. So it does give me a little bit of experience on both sides of the coin, right? From the online marketing world and the restoration world. I come from the rebuild recon side, commercial realm, building office buildings, hotels, schools, which is a little bit different. But, some of you might do commercial work and do the rebuild recon. So that's the world I used to work in. It's kind of a whole different animal. But yeah, it's helpful for our clients, helpful for this because I've been on your side of the fence before. And just us in general, we didn't just start dealing with restoration stuff yesterday. We've hundreds of clients all over the US and Canada. At this point, generated 16,000 plus jobs for our clients over the years. We just, water, fire, mold is our bread and butter. Yes, some of our clients own multiple businesses. Some have carpet cleaning, remodel, plumbing divisions, construction, GC divisions. Yes, but water, fire, mold is typically how they, come into our world. And we don't pretend to be perfect. We're straight shooters here, but we do have, we're the number one rated restoration marketing company in the country as it speaks because we care. Like we don't pretend to be perfect, but we actually care on taking care of our clients. And I'm gonna try to add some value for you guys today. Look at it, like I said, so you can walk away with some action items on increasing your reputation and why this matters. So again, why are we here and what are we going to talk about today? Online reviews and your reputation can make and break your company. Now, it's, just because you don't have a Google business profile set up or your reviews are not where they should be, can you still run successful restoration company? Yes, you can, right? But you want to make your life easier and the more you build on this stuff, it helps both online and offline marketing, which equates to more traffic, leads, and jobs over time. Okay. And a point I like to bring, this is honestly why I started this company. I used to work in this world And we all know, like, and again, if you are older generation, there's nothing, it's not bad. But it was typically, I was around a lot of older people, and I was like, hey, we might need to be paying attention to this internet thing. Like, oh, Jamie, no, but you can't get a flood job from the internet. And I'm like, you can't be serious. And I'm like, that's what led me to branch out and start this. I was like, y'all are crazy. Y'all think Google and the internet's going away? I was like, you can't be serious. But again, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? Is the saying. And I've been around some people with that mentality, and that's the opposite of how we operate. Like, if you're not innovating and keeping up in this day and age, like, you will get run over. And now there's AI coming in the mix, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole now. I might do a webinar on that in the future. Like, we're working on some things. It's on our roadmap, at least. I mean, it's a lot harder to implement. But AI is coming. I look at AI how people used to look at the internet. Oh, this is a fad. This, that. I mean, I'm telling you, we will all get blindsided if we do not pay attention to it. Now, so back to the, what this webinar is about. This is about online reviews, and this really helps drive the point home. I'm like, look, have you heard of Amazon before? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, what do you do on Amazon? You go to Amazon, you go to the search bar, you type in the product, you look at the top results, you look at the reviews, you purchase said product. What do you think happens in the home service world? People go to Google, they do a search, they look at the top results, they look at reviews, they make a phone call. And again, that's an example of how I try to bring this home for people that don't think this stuff matters. It's like, I mean, we generate millions of worth of work every year from the online world. And so, like, it's like, y'all can, well, everybody here probably, you're believers, so I'm not trying to convince you, but it's so if you're having any doubts about it, why this stuff, that's an example I like to use to kind of drive it home. Because that's what's happening all day, every day in the home service world, which, restoration is considered a home service, niche, right? Now, some of you on here, because we come across this all the time, like maybe some of you work with TPAs, you're doing a couple million a year or whatever, you haven't really dabbled on the online world, and you can still run and build a successful company with that. But when we look at their website, and we're like, you don't even have a Google business profile? If you're doing millions of work a year, you don't have any reviews. So that's just something to keep in mind. And what companies like we can help. And I mean, I'm not saying you have to work with us. There's plenty of companies out there, but I'm saying, like, we understand that's how that can happen. And, like, so if you do good work and take care of your clients, you want to reflect that, right? So that's why this slide is, I'm sure you do good work. You just want to make sure your online presence matches the quality work you do, right? Now, some of you might already have some of these, reputation management or review acquisition softwares out there. But just having that alone typically is not enough, right? And that could lead to a fail, right? And the reputation management piece of it kind of solidifies and helps escalate all the other marketing things you're doing. And again, both online and offline. And I'll explain how that, and give you an example in a minute on how this can play out and how we see this play out in the real world, right? So let's talk about the opportunity. Most of you, and again, all of this is not, we're not trying to get onesie twosie stuff here. Like, we're trying to load up to where lead flow and client acquisition is not a problem. There's ebbs and flows in this industry. We all know that. And you can either be dominating online, there's still going to be ebbs and flows on the amount of leads and jobs coming in. There's only so many houses that catch on fire a day, only so many houses that flood a day, right? But you want to be the go-to dominant force in your service area, I imagine, right? Well, this can kind of help escalate that. Now, you do want to use tools, but there's a million softwares for this, that, and other these days. But if they're not implemented into the company culture, implemented into the SOPs and processes, not a whole lot gets done, right? But if you do this correctly, you can have your reputation speak for itself and kind of put gasoline on the fire, as I like to say. And then that's where, again, we're trying to get you to be the dominant force in your area to take market share, right? You want to capture as much market share as you can. Some of you guys might be in larger cities, some of you might be in smaller. The competition will vary. Typically, what we see, I mean, this is, I say this is a big boy, big girl game. Restoration, you can make a fortune, but that also brings in a lot of competition into this world because people know that. It's a great industry to be in, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of recession proof in a way, right? Like, you know, a lot of our clients had record breaking years in 2020 because, I mean, COVID or not, houses are still going to catch on fire. Mold's still going to have to be remediated, and houses are still going to flood, right? You can't ignore that when your house is on fire, about to burn down. So we are in a great industry that you can do well in a good economy and a bad economy. So just some things to keep in mind. Now, just to drive this point home a little bit more, you know, the online reviews matter. And I came across an interesting study here that 84% of people trust an online review as much as they do like a referral, a personal recommendation. And 77% of consumers think that reviews more than 3 months old aren't relevant. So that's why, you know, we come across this all the time. Like, yeah, you might have like a 5.0 rating, you know, 8 reviews. We're like, you know, Bob, it's been 3 years since you've got a new review. Like, what are you doing? Like, we need to get this implemented into your culture. Like, and if that was 3 years ago, think about the amount of jobs that he could have, I mean, this is just an example, but loaded up and captured over those years, right? So consistency is huge in this. And they're mission critical, to say the least, right? So here's an example I wanted to show you. So this is a client of ours. He's been with us a while, and it was fine, right? When he got going, he was like a 4.2, 4.1, which is not awful, but it's not great. And just so everybody knows here, a good rule of thumb on this is we like to see our clients at a 4.7 or higher. We've tracked this again all across the country. We're basically in all the markets across the country at this point. 4.7 is typically where the lead flow from the Google Map Pack or the local service ads you'll get more love from Google on that. So keep that in mind. If you're below that, get on it and get above a 4. Get at least to a 4.7. Obviously, you want to pull it up to 4.8, 4.9, 5.0 if you can. But I wanted to show this example too, because for this particular keyword I looked at, he's not #1 in the map pack. I mean, he is for several other terms. Like we go after hundreds, right, for our clients. But over time, there will be ebbs and flows. Like people will be swapping in the rankings in the map pack. That's why none of this stuff is set and forget it, because people are always battling for the top spots. And if you stop doing any of this SEO or whatever, your position will be taken. Especially that's how we look at it. When clients come to us, hey, we represent you. It's go time. And then we're not stopping because we're trying to get above the competition. We want to help you get market share. But see, this particular client, he's only #2, 4.8, like not too bad. And again, you know, United Water of Beaverton, you know, if you're on this call, like I don't mean anything bad by this, but a 4.4, like I don't love it. And so, you know, people wonder like, well, is he going to get calls from being here? Yes, he absolutely will. And I'll show you something here in a minute to prove this. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't understand. I think I almost forgot to mention this, but I want to mention it while I'm thinking about it. So you see right here where it says 4.8 and 42 reviews. And you see right here 4.7 and 56. So, and this is a local service ad. Some of y'all might call it Google guaranteed. Like there's a million different things, but it's basically Google's pay per lead service. Some of you might work with 33 Mile, Service Direct, Inquiry. There's a million of them out there now. You know, pay per lead is a big lead channel in our industry, right? This is Google's version. And I'll do a separate webinar on that at some point. But if you're not doing local service ads, you need to start setting this up today. And here's why. We see this, and again, we track this all across the country, not just a one-off scenario. These leads are exclusive leads, just like a 33 Mile. You can, and Google just changed this. Like you used to be able to like dispute them and get a credit immediately. Now Google's like you mark them satisfied, how satisfied you are with the lead, but you can still, hey, review this lead and they won't charge you for it if it ends up being a spam call or whatever, which will happen from all these sources. That's one bad part about getting your online presence better. Like, you know, it's easier for salespeople and spammers to find it. It is what it is, right? That's, you know, we got to deal with it. But those leads are exclusive leads, meaning you're the only one that gets a call. Like Angie's and all that, a lot of times they'll give you the lead and they'll also sell it to 5 other companies. That's why typically people hate Angie's, because they're harder to close, because there's 5 people trying to call them at the same time as well. These people, now, could they hang up from you and call their, you know, ABC Restoration down the street? Yes, they could. But this is business. Anybody can do that. Like, that's just the reality we all have to deal with. But they're typically 50 to 75% cheaper cost per lead than what 33 miles charge. 50 to 75% cheaper. That's arbitrage. Business is all about this. Like, that's why our clients were like, hey, we want to get it while the getting's good. Just like everything in life and in business, the cost of all of this will only go up over time. It's just like Google Ads has gone up over time. There's nothing any of us can do with it, right? We just got to deal with it and learn how to make money on it. Local service ads, great opportunity to grow and scale your restoration company. Now, the downside to it, typically our clients have pretty big goals. I mean, they're trying to ramp up. You can't hit your growth goals with that service alone, typically. That's why our strategy is to layer in different lead channels to help dominate and to help with the ebbs and flows, because, you know, you can get 20 leads one month from your LSA. The next month you might only get 10, right? Well, ideally people want 20, 30, 40, 50. You know, you want to scale up your lead volume over time. So that's typically why we have a comprehensive approach. But reviews matter. So back to the you know, what the webinar is about. The more reviews and the higher the rating will absolutely increase the amount of leads you get, period. There's no, like, we're not guessing at this. It's proof. Like I said, we watch this with our clients. This is why we call it out. Like, hey, you're sitting at a 4.2 rating. Like, one of our clients, I'm thinking about, he's in Seattle area. Yeah, he was like a 4.2, and I was like, Steve, that has to be, you got to get it up. It's killing you. It's hurting. How many calls you get in your map pack? It's killing your local service ad. He's like, yeah, you're right. He got up to 4.8. His lead volume went up. So those are a few points to remember. Don't forget that. Now, how these have different amounts. So when you set up a local service ad, it connects to your Google business profile. Now, your Google business profile reviews will push over to your local service ad. Your local service ad reviews, you can get reviews directly on this profile right here. Those reviews do not push back to the Google business profile. So remember that. That's why he has 56 here and 42 here. And so really I should ping him and say, hey, like, drop a few more on your GBP, because you don't want to, like, neglect this one altogether. I'd really put, you know, 75% of the focus here, knowing these push to here. And then every now and then get some new reviews on the LSA, because that is a signal to ranking better in LSA, because these are verified reviews for the local service ad portion. So I just covered a lot there. Hopefully that made sense, but those are important things, and hopefully that provided some clarity to you guys on, like, how these reviews play into each of these, and then, you know, which direction they go back and forth. Remember, Google business profile reviews, they also pump over to your local service ad. If you get a local service ad on a review on the actual local service ad, those do not translate back to the Google business profile. Okay? All right. So, and this is just an example. People are like, oh, this doesn't matter. Nobody searches on Google for flood. And I'm like, you know, he's gotten over 2,000 calls so far this year. He'll hit 2,500 plus easy. Over 2,000 calls from his, now this is from, like, you know, his website, Google Business, local service ad. We're not even running pay-per-click for this particular client. So 2,000 phone calls. So everybody's like, oh, I'm not doing online marketing. It's like, fine. Like, people like our clients, he's going to take market share from you. That's fine with you, fine. Like, but this stuff works. I'm telling you. That's why this is important. That's why I want to put it there. Now, a couple other things. Remember, I touched on this a minute ago. It's not the only ranking signal for ranking in the map pack or ranking in local service ads, but Google sees this. Google sees and knows everything about us at this point, whether we like it or not. That's just reality, right? We got to get over it. But it is a ranking signal. 88% of consumers look at online reviews. And as far as converting traffic to calls, it's a major factor. Like I already went through the example of 4.2 versus 4.7. Like it's huge, okay? So that's why I just want to drive home. I mean, if there's one big takeaway from this, I want y'all to walk away being like, hey, we need to take this more seriously. I mean, that alone will be helpful for you guys, okay? So how do we do this? And I mean, this is just something you guys can think about. Like, why is this important to you? You know, if you're trying to grow and scale, it's hopefully you are, right? We kind of have a belief like you're either growing or dying. Like, it's not very, you know, because sometimes every now and then they'll come around, well, I kind of want to maintain where I'm at. Well, it's like, well, you know, with inflation and cost of living, like your employees are going to want raises every year. So how are you going to compensate for that? Really, it's, I mean, you need to be growing in some form or fashion. Yeah, some are more aggressive than others, fine, but you know, it's hard to be stagnant and keep everything afloat when you're not trying to grow this thing. So let's go over the 5 key principles on how we acquire and get and things to think about when we're trying to get more 5-star reviews. And this is, you know, I don't know if double-edged sword is the right metaphor to use for this, but I like this because here's why. If you know it's part of your company culture and you're going to start requiring your techs and project managers and whoever to get more reviews, in order to ask for the review, and you want a 5-star, what do you have to do? You have to provide a world-class customer experience and take care of your client. Now, I know that seems obvious, but we all know that's not always, you know, top of mind. People just want to get the job done and get paid. And we're in a difficult line of work, you know, collecting, you know, from insurance companies and all that. And if you do rebuild recon, like, you know how those can go sometimes. But if the technician knows he's going to have to ask for the review at the end of the job, like he's like, well, you know, I can't get a 1-star review, so I better take care of this client and do good work, which I think all of us here hopefully want to take care of our clients and do good work, right? So that's why I love it. It's because, like, not only does it help take care of your clients, but then you can get a 5-star review, which will help your company. So it's a win-win for all parties involved. And ultimately, that's what we want, right? That's what's you want it to be a win-win for all people. Building it into your company culture. I've seen this a lot over the years. I mean, it's one thing, you know, if you're the marketing director or the owner, like, yeah, this is great. I understand it's important. And you could bring it up on one meeting. Hey guys, let's get some more reviews. All right, what's next on the agenda? Like, that ain't gonna cut it. It has to be brought up consistently in company meetings, or, you know, I used to call them toolbox talks. So, you know, you just have to meet the crews, you know, 7 a.m. everybody round up in the trucks. All right, where's everybody going today? What's the plan? I mean, you could do it then, however you do it, right? But it has to be brought up consistently and built into the culture. Now, well, and I'll go deeper on that in a minute. But again, everybody has to be on the same page, and it has to be revisited consistently. It's not like you can't just bring this up once and all of a sudden you're good. And it doesn't have to be you necessarily. Like, if you have an operations manager or COO or whatever, like, you know, they could be in charge of it. But somebody needs to track it, measure it, and bring it up consistently, and reward people for doing this, which I'll get into in a minute. But those are a few ways and things to think about as far as building it into your company culture. And, you know, this is a saying I like too, like, what you measure, inspect, and celebrate, you get more of, right? It's kind of like where energy flows, or where focus goes, energy flows, right? Is another saying. But you want to celebrate the new reviews and celebrate the people that are taking these seriously and helping you put this into place and getting the reviews. Okay, I mean, I know this stuff is higher level, but sometimes you got to start higher level before you go into the weeds on the technical stuff, which we'll get into a little bit. But there has to be company buy-in into the culture. Like, hey, This is the plan. This is what we're doing. How's everybody feel about this? You good? And you kind of need commitment and buy-in from everybody in order for this to work long term for your company. And you do want to use, when you can, there's certain tools that can help make this easier, and it might require a little follow-up. I mean, just like, again, we're all in business at this point. None of this is just like, oh, I'll make one phone call. I mean, the odds of them answering it's we all know. That's why having a comprehensive approach to this is, using an app, asking for the review in person, doing SMS, doing email, doing phone call, leaving them a voicemail. Sometimes it'll take that. And again, I know it's annoying and a lot of work, but again, like, welcome to business. That's what nothing about this is easy. It just takes consistency. And then you do want to acknowledge and respond to reviews, which I'll get into in a minute on why that can be important. So, just think of, take a minute to pause. I mean, think about all those things. And another thing too, because I make this mistake sometimes, like, whenever I do a training course, mastermind, whatever, have a call with a mentor, you might have 10 things that you could do, but sometimes it's best if we just pick one highest and best, use for the company, and we get that implemented, then we move on to the next task at hand, right? So out of those things I covered, there might have been one thing that, maybe it just starts out with you bringing this up on company meetings and bringing it up on every company meeting. How do we do on reviews? None? All right. Well, guys, are you asking for reviews? No, you're not. All right. Well, let's talk about it. Right? I mean, that alone can help get this ship moving in the right direction. Okay? So, well, sorry about that. That was 100. That was some. All right. Well, technical difficulties. I don't know what just happened, but I guess all you guys are still in here. It looks like. So let's. We All right. Sorry. I don't know if that kept recording or if it was still on for you guys, but I got kicked out for a minute. It's always something. I don't know. So I'm based out of South Carolina. We got that Hurricane Helena or Helen. I don't know what it is, but it's not hitting us, but it is a little windy here and raining. So I don't know if that took down my internet or what happened, but all right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. That was annoying. I was sitting there talking to nobody for a minute, but all right, let's continue. So what I was saying is, on this point, deliver a world-class experience. And if you guys want to know the most effective way out of everything we're going to cover today, getting your text to ask in person is still the highest converting and best way to get more reviews. Because think about it. If you do a good job and you're like, hey, Bob, and sorry if your name's Bob and you're on here, I just like to use that example sometimes. But, hey, Bob, if you're happy with the work we just did, if you don't mind, our business is built on a reputation. If you don't mind leaving us a 5-star review, I'd greatly appreciate it. Here, I can help you do that real quick. If they're an older demographic, they don't know how to do it. Here, I can, if you don't mind, I can just pull it up from your phone for you. Yeah, sure, no problem. But again, you have to do good work in order to do that. If they're pissed off because you put in the wrong backsplash on the rebuild, that might not be the best time to ask for a 5-star review, right? Obviously, common sense has to be taken into account when doing this. But this asking in person is still the best way to do it. Now, the call after the service, the apps, the postcard, yes, like it's not going to be 100% close rate on this, right? So that's where all this other stuff comes into play on helping, get the reviews where, because maybe the job finished out and so forgot to ask. I mean, that'll happen, right? We're all humans. And then we talked about already building into your culture. And then, yes, doing follow-ups via email, SMS, phone calls, voicemails. You kind of, capture some of those that you weren't able to get in person. Now, a couple things too. And again, I'm not saying anybody do anything unethical, illegal, whatever, because I know this does vary by state, how the structure is with the insurance companies when it comes to deductibles and this, that, and other. So take this with a grain of salt. You figure this out before you actually do it. But let's just say it's not an insurance claim and it's just a cash pay little dinky mold removal job or something. Hey, if you leave us a 5-star review, I'll give you $40 off your invoice. Or, hey, I'll send you a $10 Starbucks gift card. Or I'll send you a $20 Amazon gift card. And again, I'm not telling you to do that. You're in charge of figuring out what you can and can't do when it comes to incentivizing the client. But giving them some sort of incentive to leave you a 5-star review, think about that. Okay, so that's one huge point I want everybody to think about here. Now, another way some of our clients will do this is you can incentivize your technicians. Hey, for every 5-star review, I'll give you $25 cash, gift card, gift certificate to your favorite restaurant. If $25 doesn't cut it, you might have to bump it to $50. Those are your people. It's your business. You're going to have to figure out what gets them ticking. Maybe it's a half day once a month on a Friday. Be creative. Everybody wants different things and is incentivized differently. You could incentivize the text, right? I mean, I would start with putting it as like part of their job description, like, hey, like this is part of your job description. Like you do the work, you have for review, period. But to help get the buy-in, to help get the reviews, hey, every 5-star review you get $20 added to your end of month, your first paycheck after the end of the month or whatever. Okay, good point. Remember it. It works. Now, for you overachievers on here, another good idea some of our clients do is you can do monthly giveaways for your team. Whoever gets the most 5-star reviews this month gets a $250 gift card to Amazon, your favorite steakhouse, whatever, right? Come up with something that people want to compete for. Put them in a pool. Every month, somebody gets rewarded. And for your high achiever people, like, there's sayings out there, right? Like if you incentivize what you want more of from your people, right? It's one thing to tell them to do it, and I mean, hopefully they do it, but to just make it a little easier on everybody, you could do a monthly giveaway. So those are 3 big things that work like a charm. And again, make sure you know the rules and regulations based on the job you're doing, the state you're in, licensing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But those 3 methods work like a charm. And the competition giveaway thing can kind of gamify it, which kind of helps with the culture piece and just help all this, be a little more fun. All right. Do we have any questions about any of that? You can put it in the chat or the Q&A. I mean, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end too, but just drop your question in there if none of that makes sense, and I'll help you out or tell you my 2 cents. A few of the more well-known tools, Podium, Bird Eye, Review Buzz. We do have our own software our clients use called Lead Cottage. And again, I'm not saying you have to use ours. Like you might even have one of these, just use it, right? I'm not telling you to come use ours, but if you want to, yeah, that we can talk about that. But these can help with the follow up via email, texting, voicemail drops, phone calls, etc. Right? Because you want something to help you on the back end. Because time is money, right, in business. So anything you can do to buy back your time and make this easier, you would be wise to think about that and implement it. And I will say, I mean, not that this isn't a Lead Cottage plug, but I will say the downside to some of these is these are like, they only help you with reputation. Like our Lead Cottage, there's all kind of other features in our software too to make help, your life easier, as far as, scheduling, automations, call tracking, call reporting, marketing workflows. This is a bigger lift than I anticipated, but at some point we're going to integrate AI into Lead Cottage. And again, we don't have that yet, but that's where we're taking our software. Because again, I don't, not to go on the AI talk, but it's coming, right? So we're just going to figure out how to leverage it and make our clients more money, right? That's what we all should be thinking about and doing. All right, so there's a handful of tools you guys can look at, shop around, whatever. Now, responding to reviews, you want to respond to the reviews. Just have somebody on your team, hey, like, they don't have to do it as soon as it comes in. Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, they pop in and just reply back. And I feel like I came across a study too that, sometimes having a bad review can almost help all of this because it makes it seem less spammy and less fake. I thought that was an interesting article I read on it. And here's the reality of it. Running a restoration company, your / construction company, it's going to be impossible to please any and everybody, period. There's yahoos out there. We all know that. We all have to deal with them every now and then. Well, ideally, we don't deal with them, but that's just life, right? Humans are complicated, and there's some crazies out there, whether we like it or not. Sometimes you can do a perfect job. And, there's just people out there that get off on leaving bad reviews. Hopefully, don't. If you get that vibe in the beginning, like, try not to work with them. Because those are the people that no matter what you do, they're just not going to be happy. And in the construction world, we all know jobs aren't going to go exactly to plan and go perfectly, period. It's construction. That's the way it goes. So it's not everyone is going to be a 5-star review. It's fine. Like, don't sulk over it too long. But responding to it in a professional manner can be helpful. And then you could, like, politely call out, like, because, sometimes people get companies mixed up. And they're like, man, you weren't even a client of ours. You left a review on the wrong ServPro, right? Like, any of your ServPros, like, typically there's a lot of y'all running around in every market, because y'all do it by zip code. So it's kind of, sometimes they'll mix up the ServPros, leave. It's like, hey, Tim, you're not even a client of ours. You meant to leave this one on, ServPro of blah, blah, blah. So that'll happen. And again, don't lose sleep over it. You just got to drown them out with more and more 5-star reviews over time. So that's my 2 cents on that piece. Now, here's something we teach our clients. And again, we don't have hard data on this yet, but this is something that, all this stuff is connected. Google crawls, all this stuff. So we like to teach our clients, hey, don't be spammy about it. But when you respond to the review, you see, I pulled this from one of our clients. Like, he helped do a mold remediation project. He put that in the response. This one was a water damage project. He just put water damage restoration in the response. And again, that helps build relevance. Google sees this. It could be help your ranking signal just a little bit. And again, we haven't seen. I mean, Google knows all these games too. So they won't let everybody's coming here and do this. All of a sudden, you're ranking. Google's way smarter than that. And do not keyword stuff these responses. Don't be like, thanks for calling our water damage company so we could help you with your water damage project. Like, that water problem was so bad. Glad we could help you with your water mitigation issue. Like, don't say it 45 times. in the response. Like that'll hurt you more than it'll help, right? Because that used to be a thing back in the years ago in the SEO world. But like again, Google knows all these games. That's why SEO is tricky because you have to. The keyword density and all this is important. Google knows it. That's why this stuff is easier said than done. So don't go crazy with it. Just mention it once, kind of like he did here, and just move on. And if you're going to respond, you might as well just drop something like this in there. It takes an extra 10 seconds to think about what something to say, right? So keep that in mind. Now, I touched on this a little bit. I mean, I'll probably do another webinar on a higher level on all these at some point. But, to just something to keep in mind, our most successful clients, they have multiple lead channels in place, both online and offline. And honestly, I've been involved and am involved in many different things at this point. Like that's just business in general. You can't rely on one lead source because if something happens to that lead source, you're SOL, right? So that's why having a comprehensive approach, both online and offline, helps with the ebbs and flows in this industry, helps with the consistency and predictability of leads and jobs every month that we all want. Okay. So from an online perspective, getting a Google business profile verified set up. And again, we help a lot of our guys, a lot of our, we always think like not onesie twosie stuff. A lot of our guys, some of them are scaling national, some of them are opening new states, multiple offices in the same cities. You can have Google business profiles and LSAs set up for all of them. So keep that in mind. You don't just want one. And again, if you don't have ambitions to have multiple locations, fine. I'm not telling you to do that. Just a lot of our clients are go-getters by chance, I guess. Like, so they want to grow out, expand out. So you just want to layer all this stuff on with each new location. Again, why do we do that? It's more virtual real estate, as I like to call it too. The more spots you take up on the first page of Google, more traffic, more leads, more jobs you're going to get, period. Okay. So verified GVP profile, and then, get somebody helping you rank in the map pack. Just because you have a profile set up doesn't mean somebody's going to find it and call it. Could they? Potentially. But typically not a whole lot of magic happens until you're into at least the top 3, and that's where you'll really see the lead volume start to tick up. Obviously, you have a website built to convert, optimize. I mean, it's 2024, almost 2025 at this point. If I have to convince you that matters, like, just, I don't know, just think about that, when you're meditating tomorrow morning. But, and then SEO is obviously just because you build a website doesn't mean it's going to show up on page 1 in Google. That's where SEO comes in, search engine optimization. There's a lot of work that has to go into getting that thing to crawl up in Google. And Google does not make it easy these days, and especially in restoration. Like a lot of you guys probably have people that have been doing this 10 plus years at this point. I mean, can you get the job done? Yes, but sometimes it's going to take a little time to get you where you want to go. Paid ads, a couple great strategies. Local service ads. That's Google's pay-per-call, like I mentioned earlier. Pay-per-click. It works. I guarantee you some of you on here probably tried it and it didn't work in the past. We hear it all day, every day. I mean, I'll just say it works, but you better work with somebody that knows the industry and knows what they're doing, or Google will eat your lunch when it comes to pay-per-click, period. But it works. Google is one of the biggest companies in the world. They make multiple billions from Google ads. Like, if it didn't work, they wouldn't be the size they are. So I'm not, but that's teach his own. Now we do advise, depending on how big your company is, like, you got to be strategic about this. Well, what your marketing budget is, and if you're going the pay-per-click route, because it is a pay-to-play game. Period. That's the hand we've been dealt. Right? There's nothing we can complain about it all day, but that's not going to grow and scale our company. Right? So you got to figure it out the game, work with somebody who knows what they're doing, and then also layer in other lead channels as well if you want to be successful long term. And then to help solidify and help all of this is the reputation management review piece. Because remember, it's a ranking signal for LSA and Google Maps. It's a conversion aspect for once you get ranking, getting people to actually call you, not your competition, on both local service ads and Google Maps. And here's another point I bring up too. A lot of, I'm sure a lot of you work with TPAs, property managers, plumbers, adjusters, insurance agency, on and on, right? So let's say you're trying to build those relationships, or you have a business development rep, they're out there beating the streets trying to get more of these relationships built. But think about this. You walk in there and I'm like, hey, I'm Jamie with ABC Restoration, want to talk about set up a referral partnership. And first of all, it's gonna take more than just one meeting too. This is another thing we see. Like that's like real work. That's actually what I used to do for our first company. I was in construction sales, and so I speak from experience. My boss told me, he's like, dude, you're gonna have to eat shit for a year, period. And I'm like, well, I gotta put food on the table, so fine. But if you do it consistently for a year, never had to worry about relationships or bringing work in ever again. But again, it took a whole year of walking in, them telling me, what, like, it got to the point where, hey, you're not going to stop coming by until we give you work, are you? Like, no, I'm not. And that's what it took. But again, I didn't have a choice, because that was, at the time, that was my job. I'll do another webinar on that probably at some point. That's offline marketing, building relationships. But here's the point I'm trying to make. When I walk out of that office, they're like, man, I've never heard of Jamie with ABC Restoration before. What do you think they're going to do when you walk out of the office? Go to Google. Let me look up ABC Restoration. And when you show up with a 3.1 rating on the map pack, what first impression do you think they have about you and your company at that point? They're not calling. They would some maybe not do that? Yes. This is all like, I'm not giving you like, they're different. This plays out different ways, but think about that. Property managers, plumbers, these people might do a Google, like, hey, let me see, like, what they look like. And then when you have a awesome website, you've got 270 reviews, 4.9 rating, but oh man, these guys are players. They see you do good work. It's kind of your first impression online. So you want that to match. You want that'll help you get your foot in the door with some of these offline relationships. So keep that in mind, because a lot of people don't think about that. And again, that's just like an ancillary benefit of getting more leads from the internet and the online piece. But that's just an example of why it can help you with your offline stuff. So there's my rant on that. And again, y'all might be like, oh, Jamie's full of crap. What are you talking about? Like, look, I'm telling you, like, this is our website. And again, I'm not saying, like, if you want to, like, potentially work with us, fine. If you don't, fine. Like, I'm not here. I want to add value. But we got video after video after video and video and review and review and review. This stuff works. Like, and again, this isn't strictly off reviews. Like, obviously, we help most of these guys with multiple things. But again, if anybody doesn't think this stuff works, I'm trying to just show this. And again, whether it's us or somebody else, I don't care. Like, we're gonna be fine either way. But like, read that. Like, bottom line, they produce results. Our Google calls are off the charts. And again, I'm not going to go through all these reviews, but like, again, I'm just trying to drive home that what I'm talking about today works in the real world. And that's why we're all here. We're not here just for some, online class. Like, again, I'm just trying to drive home. I want your mindset right, that you need take this seriously, and it needs to be implemented in your company culture yesterday. That's the point I'm really trying to drive home. Now, I am getting close to the end. It's 2:50, so I'm doing pretty good on time. That's good. Now, if any of you did want to like hop on a call with us, like, we do a free consultation. You can just tell us about what you have going on, what you're thinking about doing. If you'd like to potentially work with us, cool. If not, cool. And I did put this on here. We have a waiting list in a lot of markets, to be honest, so we don't even know if we'd be able to work together. And we only take so many new clients on because we do offer one-on-one support to make sure all this has to be done right. Because one complaint we hear is like, yeah, I signed up for this company, I hadn't heard from them in 6 months. We're like, man, we're the opposite. We're going to be all over you in a good way, because speed of execution is helpful in business. And so if we do work together, like, we like to move quickly and get going, because that's the best time to plant a tree is 1,000 years ago, right? The second best time is today. Delaying any of this doesn't help anybody. So I'll drop this link in the chat if any of y'all do want to schedule a call. We do have a few more minutes, so any questions? I'll be happy to answer questions, or if you want to tell me about your scenario or whatever, you got me for a few minutes. So, if not, that's fine too. But there, I put the link in the chat if y'all did want to book a call to speak with us. And like I said, hopefully you got value from this. I'm telling you, even the incentive stuff I brought up to y'all, like if y'all ran with that for a year, you look up a year from now, the amount of reviews and your rating you have, night and day. So yeah. Let's see. Some of y'all sent me. I guess you can just chat people. Book a call on that link and we can chat for sure. All right. Well, y'all got me for a few minutes. Any questions about anything around this topic? I'm here. Was this good? Was this awful? Should I never do another webinar again? I'm a big boy. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. It's fine. But hopefully this was it was a little higher level, but I really just want to shift people's mindset around things. It's like, man, it's sometimes people still cool. Yeah, appreciate that, Chance. Make sure you run with it. Something, right? Maybe not everything I brought up, but that's a mistake, man. I make it. Entrepreneurs, we're wired a little differently. Like the amount of ideas I have it's overwhelming. But typically it's best whenever you pick one or two things, take it to your company. Hey, let's do this. Let's not do any other projects until this gets implemented and done. So that's what I'd recommend based on all these things I covered. Maybe you get a tool to start with, or maybe you just start bringing this up in company meetings. Maybe you come up with an incentive base, I can't say that word apparently, but incentivize your, if you got business partners or whatever, sit down with them. Hey, let's come up with an incentivation. Just gonna stop saying that word. But some way to reward your people for getting more 5-star reviews. But since I can't say incentivize for some reason. But cool. All right. Anything? Any questions? Anything